Hello, welcome to Tyndall's Health Promotion Running Clinic of Part 1. This is Robert Pankoff, your Health Promotion Coordinator. Alright, so for this brief, we're just going to talk about running economy, improvements based on running mechanics, cardio-based training. We'll talk about characteristics of running shoes, and some injury prevention information. So again, this is part 1. The more hands-on part 2 portion will be at the Tyndall Air Force Base track, where we do running drills, film capture, perform a lot of our exercises and information that we'll be discussing today. All right. So here's our goal: to be efficient and injury-free runner. So again, if we're in pain in running, it's not going to be enjoyable. We're not going to be motivated to run. Efficiency based on how we're running, based on how we're training, definitely will make a difference and make it more of a healthier running atmosphere. All right, so starting off with our running mechanics. How should I run? So basically, we break running down into 3 different categories: posture, position, and cadence. And these all kind of work together so you can be efficient in how you strike the ground based on ground reaction force and gravity. So starting off with posture. And posture just basically means align body column, but balanced. So having a nice head level position, so we actually have a stacked column. No deviation within our posture position there. Looking forward, being relaxed and passive at the shoulders. There is a slight forward lean, and this must come from the ankles, not at the waist. Feet are neutral, straight ahead. So if I'm walking, running, jumping, and landing, I need to make sure I have great hip stability, which we'll get into later, so my feet can be in a forward position. If not, I'm gonna have less ankle flexion capability and more collapse arches, and I might have some tracking issues within my knee. Next part is the position. So we kind of look at the position of landing, or even our postural position upon landing. Our midfoot strike initially with heel kiss. So we want to make sure that our toes are not pointing up. We're not reaching out to make strike at the heel or a rear foot strike. We want to land on that mid or forefoot. The faster pace we go, no time for that heel to hit the ground. It's all going to be a forefoot, midfoot strike. A lower gear, fairly flat on the ground. If I lift that toe up or dorsiflex, I'm going to have a lot of contraction happening within that plantar fascia, which is again the muscle that connects from the bigger toe all the way through the foot, back into the Achilles, and up into the calf. And remember, if I land on my heel, there is that slight braking happening there. Put it on the brakes. Again, we don't want that to happen. It's going to be a larger hit, louder hit, and a slap down with the foot. Again, do we really want to land on our heel, on our calcaneus? Or do I want to utilize my natural spring of my plantar fascia, my foot, and my Achilles tendon? As we move up into the upper posture, elbows are back, rear root pull in arm swing at 90 degrees, close to the body, straight back. Relax, passive again within ankles and wrists and fingers. Load lightly underneath my center of mass. Again, not reaching out, not with a straight leg. especially the straight leg with the knee not bent into a figure four position. It's going to lead a lot of shearing on that kneecap. And the last part is cadence. Shorter, quicker strides. Optimal cadence is between 170 and 180 steps per minute. That's how many times your feet are hitting the ground per minute. Synchronized within the arm swing, elbows back position too. Important again, in that short, quicker stride, we drop the foot underneath the body. Again, not reaching out to the next step. We utilize the 180 steps per minute cadence because that's the allowable muscle elasticity that we want to have in the store and release of the energy within the muscles and tissues. If I have a kid jumping up and down, slow and sticky is more work. Naturally, we're gonna jump at a 90 steps per minute with both legs. Again, poppy, springy, off the ground, short, quick strides. All right, moving on to the next part, our phases of the running gait. So what this needs to look like here within these different phases of our run. In preparation to make contact to land, I want to make sure that my body is traveling. Upper body is traveling, dropping the leg underneath, not reaching out, not lifting up the toe, make contact to the ground, knee is slightly bent in my aligned body stack column. The dotted blue line represents a forward lean, push off the ground, slightly lean forward, so I'm not achieving any type of vertical oscillation, up and down bouncy motions. Eventually, I will make into a mid-stance position. This is a very strong and stable position that we need to be in. Figure four position. Elbows are back, knee is slightly bent. My weight is supported in the midfoot. And then the crucial next part of the gait is the crucial part of the toe glute push off. So when I'm talking about how fast we're going in our mass is how much push I need to have off the ground. Again, so I need to have strong feet, strong glutes, mobile at the toes, so I can bend the push off. Transferable energy, forward lean, to float, hover through the air to prepare to land. So again, it's distance covered, right? From one contact point there, from the toe glute push off to contact. It's not about leg stride, it's about distance covered from one push off to landing, preparation, contact. At optimal cadence again, at 180. One thing to note on your cadence, this is not pace. This is not a 9-minute mile or 10-minute mile. Regardless of pace, you'll always stay at 180 cadence. It's the gears of running is what we need to consider. All right, now that we talked about running mechanics, moving on to cardio aerobic based training. So think cardio base aerobic as a large window capacity, road capacity that we can build upon. A very short window, higher level intensity in an anaerobic window. 3 methods here to monitor, track, quantify our intensity of exercise training. So let's work smarter versus harder in our aerobic training. By heart rate, talk test, or rate of perceived exertion. So the formula calculation here, 180 minus age. This is considered to be the Malfettone calculation by Dr. Phil Malfettone. Extrapolates a 75% of max cruising speed heart rate. So for efficient base building, you should be able to maintain this heart rate and not exceed this in your time frame of running. So for example, a 30-year-old that's been running, we will -5. If they've been haven't been running, then we'll +5. So estimational at 145 cruising speed heart rate, will run 20 minutes or 30 minutes without walking. If they exceed that 145 heart rate, what does that runner need to do? You guessed it, slow down. Manipulate that pace to keep running if possible. If not, then the runner would need to walk until the heart rate drops below 145 and then run back again. So walk, run intervals initially, but eventually maintain that pace the whole time at 145 heart rate, running the full time frame of 30 minutes. You could also utilize the talk test. Conversational pace is also at 75%. Can you say a full sentence without taking a breath? Rate of perceived exertion. This scale is for pain, fatigue, and breathing. The numbers start at 6 of no exertion to maximal near-death levels at 20. Each number represents a different level of intensity and fatigueness. 13 to 17 is equivalent to that 75 to 90% target heart rate range. So you can use one or all three of these to kind of look at what is your intensity of your run, to make sure, again, can I breathe, especially through my nose, get that oxygen directly into my lungs, and not have to be a stress breath through my mouth, unless the oxygen demand is needed based on level of higher intensity. The pyramids or triangles represent aerobic capacity training over time. In the green is basically our health building, walking, movement, roughly under 75%, more or less around that 55% intensity. It is crucial that most of the time we want to spend at the bottom of our pyramid. Walking also encourages our soft tissue, exoskeleton, these contractile forces we get from ground reaction force and landing, to improve stronger, resilient, robust tissues, loading those tendons and ligaments and muscles. Equivalent to this is roughly over 10,000 steps, closer to 12 to 15,000 steps. So in a sitting world, if we're getting very little steps, 4,000 steps, but our demand is needed for a longer 30-minute run, we may not have the tissue tolerance to withstand that, and injuries could occur. As we move up the pyramid into the first line, the cruising speed, that is at 75% level. The 1.5 mile pace is beyond 90% level. Becomes more a red line into that anaerobic threshold. Also represented here is what fuel system we're utilizing based on intensity. Fat and glucose burning equivalent to like a hybrid vehicle, electric versus gas. Sugar burning glycogen from carbohydrates is our gas building aerobic engine. Lower levels intensities, we utilize more fats. As high level intensity, the demand of carbohydrates is needed. In time, in the months and years of training, and still utilizing the 75% intensity. So regardless on your runs, 2 to 3 days a week, we always stay within 75%. What will happen there? You guessed it, we will be covering more distance in that same amount of time. If our goal is to train the mile and a half, 30 to 45 minute max, all we need to build an aerobic capacity for time. 5Ks, half marathons, full marathons, definitely larger aerobic time frame needed. Respectively, in the time of months and years of training, you'll become faster. That 10-minute mile will now become an 8-minute mile. Your mile and a half pace of a 12-minute mile and a half will now be a 9-minute 1.5 mile pace. Your speed, your efficiency, your heart rate, everything will improve. It'll become faster without the high levels of stress in the red of the anaerobic threshold. Without that endurance and running too hard on the right-hand side represents, again, a poor foundation to support this, poor aerobic base. Aerobic base diminishes, performance lowers, injuries occur, and your immune system health will suffer. High levels of stress, if we're not aerobically fit, in that larger anaerobic threshold. So spend 80% of your time below that first line cruising speed. 20% of the time is above that cruising speed aerobic heart rate. Not just training for the test, be ready at all times. 3 days a week, 75% is definitely a maintenance and still will become faster. Maybe 4, 6, 8 weeks out from your mile and a half test, then incorporate at 20% of the time, intervals, sprints, higher level of intensity workouts. So what's the magic of 75%? Represented here are slow twitch muscle fiber. These are the large muscles that are in our legs, aerobic muscle fiber. As we begin training, capillary density improves. They multiply. Think of these as roads. As the heart gets stronger, more blood being pumped out to the working muscles and back to the heart, quickly and efficiently with more capillary response. Adaptiveness happens quickly. After endurance training, when these capillaries or the roads multiply, your stroke volume, cardiac output over time improves significantly. So train, don't strain. This could happen also even in a 30-45 minute walk of 55%. Again, if you're over 75% and not following the protocol, you will only be anaerobically training, and that adaptation will be lost very quickly from not working out, not running. All right, so the cardio performance training. So as we work up our pyramid, phase 1, we talked about that 30-minute continuous heart rate, 75% or less. Once we can run without any walking there, move on to phase 2. Here we can split this down into intervals based on time, based on distance, based on certain objects. And you can split even your phases into intensity levels from 70 to 80% or 80 to 90%. These are basically where you'll be going to be spending more time in the lower level, 70 to 75%, and less time in your 90% level. Phase 3 is more of our plyometric jump rope, box jumps, body weight squat jumps, power movements, kettlebell swings, burpees. Here you're going to be 30 to 60 seconds of movement with 30 to 60 second rest intervals. These rest work ratio workouts like circuit training, high intensity interval training, metabolic conditioning will be utilized in this phase 3 workout. Phase 4, sprints, speed play. More rest time in between each sprint. So if your goal is to do a 20-minute sprint session, you'll rest minutes between each sprint for full maximal recovery. Again, the less time we want to train in that higher level intensity in the higher phases. You'll always be training in phase 1 and maybe phase 2 for maintenance. Remember the stress, the cumulative stress in those higher level of intensity training. Here's a practical application beginning running program, a 10-week program of a walk to run program that's repeated 3 days a week, incrementally over time to build you to that 30-minute time frame. Still very effective training modality. It may not utilize heart rate, perceived exertion, or talk tests, just time-based. So use this as an estimation template only. If you're getting back into running or coming off an injury, these programs like Couch to 5Ks can work really well to get you back into building that aerobic base. All right, moving on to strength training types. So for strength training, 3 different types that we can utilize. And we want to think of running that we can utilize all of these. Running again is jumping from one foot to the other to stabilize in mid-stance position. Torso rotation with the shoulders and very plyometric and power through the glutes. The first training type is stability, strength, balance, or coordination. The second, explosive speed, maximum strength, power, hypertrophy, increased muscle fiber size. And endurance strength is the last one. More fatigue resistance, normally body weight, core exercises. There is a progression in this pyramid as well too for strength. Stability is first, into strength, lastly power. To build a strong, resilient foundation from our feet all the way up through our neck. Example you will see in the phase 1. Stability strength. A single leg mid-stance hold. Just like in the running gait, we can hold a single leg for balance, coordination, building foot strength, core strength for stability in the hips. And then phase 2 is more of a single leg squat, deadlift, heel raise with the bent knee or straight knee. And this is going to be that endurance. So body weight only, increasing over time. We may hold a single leg stance for up to a minute, starting off in 20 to 30 seconds. And the same thing for phase 2. Hold on for balance if needed. Phase 3, we now add the load or resistance. The key part for phase 3, it is progressive overload. So based on volume, intensity, the load or weight that we're utilizing will make the exercise more difficult with higher level intensity. Phase 4, single leg squat to jump. So again, with combination all 3 together here, we can even add weight to this as well, beyond body weight. Utilize these in a barefoot scenario to get proprioceptive awareness. A shoe can buffer the sensor's biomechanical receptors on our feet. So we may not have the brain muscle connection as well, having a large shoe, stack height, EVA foam, buffering that sensor. Utilize these barefoot and then use a mirror for proper mechanics. Here's an example for lower body, upper body, and core with the progression of stability, strength, and power, and how the exercise can be utilized. Remember, within the pyramid stair-step approach, most all exercises are going to fall into any one of those categories. And depending on, again, the intensity, the load, the weight, the volume, the difficulty of the exercise, and how it's programmed. All right, so we're going to talk about running shoes next, and really looking at the characteristics of a running shoe and what we should look for there, and what matters within our running mechanics as well too. We must understand first the foot function. In science, we have what's called the null hypothesis. Basically means if it ain't broke, no need to fix it. The foot was designed to handle the load, like ground reaction force, our body weight, and Achilles as we're made to run. The longer that we're in a shoe, and a shoe again that does not allow foot function, full foot function, muscles will atrophy, weaken. We'll lose that proprioceptive feel and not have great mobility or stability in the foot to handle over time the load, the intensity, the duration, and injuries can occur. So a couple of things we're going to look at that might work best in what could be better for a running shoe. But also take note that over time in transitioning into different types of shoes, you need to be patient, self-regulate your intensity, your distance running there to actually adapt, stress, adapt, recover, and then repeat this cycle. The first thing we're looking at is the drop of the shoe, which basically means the difference between the heel and the forefoot, what that number is, the rise of the heel. A zero drop shoe is a level shoe, level footwear. If I'm standing barefoot in a lying body position, I am neutral. I am at zero drop. Once we add a shoe with an elevated heel, biomechanically, things are going to change within the body. Our hips may drive forward. We'll have shortening of the calf muscles, the plantar fascia, the Achilles, the soleus, the gastroc. Within these changes, we will see kinetic chain differences there as far as compression forces and adaptive shortening. We lose the capacity of the tissue tolerance to lengthen. Many shoes are in this drop range from 0 to 10 plus. American Sports Medicine recommends a 6 millimeter drop. It's a great in-between number to be at. That's fairly level, but not exceeding over 10 plus. You can find shoes from 4 to 5, 6 to 7, maybe 7, 8, up to 10 plus. The second characteristic is the toe box. The toe box is where letting the toes actually splay and move and bend. This should be inflexible upper material. We need to have natural foot spread and movement. Great 30-degree bend mobility in the big toe, the push off. As you see from the diagram, the A, B, C, our biggest issue we get is more of a narrow foot. We lose the toe spread from the little toe to the big toe and space between our toes. They become all intruded together, or hallux valgus, where the big toe really drives into the other toes, or the little toe tucks underneath the fourth digit toe. Being in shoes that have a tight toe box and not allowing that toe spread, we will lose stability and strength within the whole foot. Research has even shown this contributes issues within shin splints, knee pain, and lower back pain. Your foot is the foundation. It must be aligned, strong, and stable. Utilizing a device called corrective toes or toe spacers to set your alignment in your toes and have space in between your toes could be advantageous for you to allow better foot function over time. So look for a wider toe box, not just in length of the shoe, but also the width. Does your toes move and splay within the shoe? Know that half size even can make a difference in the swelling of the foot within your run. Picking the right running shoe. As mentioned earlier, an elevation of cushion heel is one aspect of a shoe. Strive to transition into more of a level zero type shoe, but give your body time to adapt, as it could take months, even year, to adapt into a zero drop, more functional shoe. Remember, your everyday shoe is sometimes even more important than what we're going to run for 30 to 40 minutes. Is it soft, flexible, light? In running and landing on our heel does not allow complete pronation or supination or the moving of the foot itself into inversion, eversion very effectively. Our foot is made to land on the forefoot, the midfoot. Here we get the shearing of impact, which is natural. We do not want a shoe to limit the movement of the foot. The foot is able to handle that shear of impact, just like every other mammal. When you pick out a shoe, it should feel comfortable. Allow your foot to move freely and natural. There should be plenty of room in the toe box for your toes to move. All day, if you're wearing a certain shoe, it should not hurt you. You should not wait to remove it. You should almost forget that you have a shoe on. If you pull out the insole of your shoe, does your toes splay over? One note to know for science is that your foot type does not depict what shoe you should get. Research has disproved this, but running shoe companies have educated us in the wrong way for many years on this. Scientific studies which attribute a reduction in injury based on this methodology does not exist. Motion control, cushioning shoe, stability shoe is not based on arch. Most of us have collapsed arches based on weakening of the foot turning in or foot turning out, less ankle flexion, not great toe foot pressure. Keep in mind, in running mechanics trumps your shoe. Regardless of what shoe you're in, or if you need to change it today, you can improve your running mechanics and running form. Landing underneath the body, not reaching out, landing on your forefoot will be your first best steps to be more efficient and injury-free. If you're no longer landing on a heel, do you need a larger heel on your footwear? Let's look at some injury variabilities. These variables again impact the way we move, our posture, and our mechanics. On the left-hand side, there's a lot of different reasons, very multifaceted, why we develop a certain type of injury. And running is no exception. If it's lower back pain, knee pain, ankle pain, foot pain, what is going on? What is going on with this? What is the root cause? Is it the way that we're training? Is it too much, too soon, too fast? Do I not have a great foundational support? My running mechanics, my posture position, my ergonomics at work. We break this down into 3 different categories. Our injury threshold, for example, could be knee pain. Why am I getting knee pain when I run? And identifying what is an injury. Is an acute injury that traumatically just happened? Different stress mechanism than a repetitive stress over time. Incidental injuries were actually still able to run, but every time I run, I get a slight knee pain, knee underneath my kneecap. It doesn't seem to go away. Do I keep picking the scab? Do I never let it a chance to heal? I have to keep running. This injury can become worse, become something more, and now I'm treading water to get out of the pain. Sometimes we need to stop, reset, look at what we're doing, be our own body mechanic to try to fix what's going on. If we cannot, then we need to seek help through health promotion, physical therapy, to figure out what's going on. As we look at all three of these, we can decipher again what may be causing that pain. It might be one or multiple reasons for this. Firstly, dosage. Too much, too soon, too fast. We know a large increase in frequency, duration, intensities, volume, load, not doing anything at all, ramping things up too quickly, can attribute to a lot of injuries. Like we mentioned with the shoe change, we could run barefoot in a short, safe distance, and you will have your natural running stride. And it will feel great. But if you keep running that way, the next few days could be even worse in pain. Your body is not adapted to that. We need it to stress the body, the right amount of stress. We need to adapt. The tissues need to adapt to that stress of the loading so we can recover if it's nutrition, sleep, and then repeat and do it again. The quality of exercise matters, more or less even within the running mechanics, but also what are we doing in lifestyle? Are we sitting too much in front of the TV in the evenings? Are we not getting our 10,000 plus steps of movement in? Are we sitting at work, closing our hips down, and expecting hip extension to magically happen when we go out for a run? Poor postures, looking down at our phone multiple hours of the day, staring into a screen, at work in a computer, improving ergonomics, our postural positions, our movements, and be more mindful of this can assist with our mechanics overall outside of running. Musculoskeletal foundation. Here is probably the largest, biggest portion that we need to work on. This is our core, our abdominal, lower back, our hips, our glutes, the foundation of strength in our feet, back, our tissue tolerance. This is our fascial tissue, exoskeleton, encapsulates our muscles, our blood flow and nerves, controls our mobility, stability, and motor control. Are we foam rolling? Are we stretching? Are we warming up efficiently? Overweight. If we're not having more fat mass to fat-free mass ratio, more impact is needed. More impact is on the body. Previous injuries. Most of us have muscle imbalances. Unilateral position holds exercises can assist to look at deficiencies in certain areas. Movement screens for joint mobility, fascial mobility can also be utilized to look at these deficiencies in movement patterns. Muscle imbalances, and poor joint mobility and not stable in certain positions can attribute to some injuries. So if we look at the knee pain issue that the runner might be having, we gotta look at their program. What have they been doing? What they have not been doing? How are they running? Are they overstriding, landing on their heel? Is their leg straight? Is there a shear of the kneecap? Rolling forward slightly on the patella, causing patellofemoral syndrome. Poor musculoskeletal foundation. In their mechanics, are they landing? Is there a valgus knee where the knee is slightly coming inwards? If you run and jump, we lose stability of the knee, which begins at the hip. Single leg bounce, stances, unilateral work will be the first step to build stability within the knee and making sure that the feet are neutral and pointed forward. So we look at here a comprehensive healthy running program. All the different things that can be overwhelming at first to add in to look at within your running program. We want to make sure we're dynamically pre-run warming up. Series of exercises in mobility movements, in plyometric to improve tissue tolerance and core body temperature increase. Key running strength core exercises can be utilized 3 to 4 times a week, including with single leg work, as well as some increase in load, resistance, and volume. Recovery. These are probably going to be the most underestimated things we can add in to improve our running. Non-exercise activity, walking, movement. Let's do mini breaks throughout the day, micro snack workouts. Add in some walking in to improve tissue tolerance and contractile forces in the lower extremities. Soft tissue mobility can be utilized with foam rolling or joint capsule work with banded distractional work. Stretch. Yoga has been great. Be in and out of positions and statically hold certain positions, all incorporating within breath. It can be utilized post-workout with soft tissue work or before bed into a sleep hygiene practice. Nutrition. Food is fuel. Not just the glycogen or fats utilized for movement, but also what our body is made up of. Soft tissue collagen fibers are made from nutrient-dense quality of food that we want to be mindful of that can impact inflammation and joint pain. Sleep. Sleep optimization is key for recovery. If we're strength training, we grow when we sleep. Adequate 7 to 9 hours of sleep is needed with great sleep quality density. How well we're sleeping within those hours. Studies have shown that less than 6 hours a night of sleep has shown an increased rate of musculoskeletal issues within up to 40%. If inflammation, joint pain is a problem, you may want to look at what's happening within sleep. Stress is basically everything that we just talked about. Stress itself can be good. Acute stresses, hormesis of stress there, the right amount of stress to be productive, perform at our highest level. Exercise is a great stress on the body, but high intense interval training, cumulative long chronic cardio runs with other types of stress such as relationship issues, financial issues can exacerbate and affect physical and mental resiliency. Incorporating a stress toolkit for the stress response with mindfulness and breath practices can help offset some of these tipping points. Again, health promotion is great for all independent one of these pillars if you need assistance with nutrition, sleep, or stress. Here you'll see at the bottom a sample weekly program. Now keep in mind, this is progression. There's a lot adding in here that we can do daily or even like once a week. Making sure that you've worked up the pyramids appropriately, safely. Including active rest, things we like to do on the weekends, may help offset some of the more intense training we do during the week. Monday through Friday, as outlined here, what we should do daily is stretch, foam rolling, and then narrowing these down from 2 to 3 days a week, adding some unilateral stability training exercises, some foot fitness program exercises, or strength training exercises. Add in 3 days a week of some core stability work for your glutes and lower back. Within the cardio sessions, 2 to 3 days a week of easy 75% aerobic base runs. Only add sprints in once every 7 to 10 days. Intervals can be broken down and added in with tempo runs, fartleks, once, twice a week, especially when training for a particular event. So healthy running in conclusion, adapt and retrain. Start slowly, give your body time to recover and repair with new mechanics. It takes time to break bad habits, especially in running mechanics when we're running a certain way for so long. Be patient, self-regulate, film capture, see what you're doing and what you can make changes of. Most of the time in exercise, there's a lengthening aspect in our tissues. This eccentric part of exercise is where microscopic breaking of these tissues happen there to repair and adapt and get stronger. As this will take time, up to 12 weeks to lengthen done properly. Strengthen. When is the last time you've done a glute bridge? Kettlebell swing. A lot of different exercises within core stability, core strength, and core power that can be utilized with lunges and squats for the lower extremities. Add some foot fitness program exercises. There is a run clinic handout with all these exercises enlisted in the previous slide that will be given to all participants. Running shoes or your everyday shoe. Years and decades in soft, restricted, high heel may misalign your feet, your toes. Realignment with toe spacers, adding foot fitness program exercises to increase strength, stability of the foot may take many months. Healthy, strong, functional feet, being barefoot most of the time, can help assist this. Run slow before you get faster. Work smarter within your cardio, build that aerobic base, and then gradually increase intensities 1 to 2 times a week. Injury prevention can be very multifaceted, as mentioned. Identify what's going on within the root cause, within mechanics, muscular foundation, or dosage. We may have to address posture within running mechanics or outside of running, working at your desk, navigating your cell phone. Stability, mobility, strength, and motor control are the 4 things that need to be screened and assessed, and corrective exercises can be utilized there to build a more resilient, robust foundation. recover. Remember, stress, adapt, recover, repeat. The cycle of exercise training is needed, or it can always, it would always feel like day one. Vary intensities, progressively overload. Be mindful of your sleep optimization. What are we eating for nutrition? And other stresses in our life that are chronic, micro, and accumulative over time that can affect our overall resiliency. So be patient, reset. If you feel discomfort, incidental knee pain happens, see what you're doing wrong. Again, remember, it's like the engine light in the car. It may still run, or it may not, but something's letting you know that something's wrong. Get it checked out before it becomes a larger problem. Hope that information was helpful, and we'll see you later for part 2.